That's funny.
It's Sunday night, and you found Fanboys Live and the Retro Review. So, fellas, what would Batman be if he wasn't rich?
If he wasn't rich,
He wasn't rich.
poor.
Yeah.
He'd be
No.
poor man.
He'd be Robin. The greatest DC comic show on YouTube welcomes you to a brand new season. Welcome to 2023 of Fanboys Live and the Retro Review. I'm Ryan Magic Lasso. Hosting this week, we have Signature King Tony Fett joining us. Hi, Tony.
Hola, comrades.
Awesome to see you. So we still are MIA on a few fanboys, including hashtag Foo is a Furry, Comic Foo 2814, not here. Tim the Comic Collector, no more excused absences. These are unexcused absences because I don't have a new note for 2023. These are unexcused absences. So I don't know where those hot dogs are, but they're not here tonight. But instead, I finally got another guest off of my wish list on the show tonight. And I do have a wish list of people that I want on the show. And it is you. It is JP Budget Collecting. Welcome to Fanboys Live.
What's going on, man? How's it going?
It's great to have you on here. Like I said, I literally do have a list of people I want. Most of those people you play D&D with every Sunday night, which conflicts with them being able to be guests on my show.
Yeah, so yeah, it used to be, we worked it out anyway. We started a little early, but then we got canceled because Tony stayed up all night doing a live stream for charity. So
not this Tony.
Tony, different Tony.
But, different Tony.
So freed me up for the evening.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you here, especially this week because our retro review, and we'll talk a little bit more about this when we get there. It's going to be on Nightwing because I think this is the week to celebrate Nightwing, especially because he has a milestone comic book that's coming out this week. It's issue number 100 of his current volume, and we're going to look back at an earlier Nightwing story that you picked out for us, JP. So I'm excited about that. In the meantime, I want to really congratulate you. 4 years on YouTube.
Yes. And I happened to just remember out of nowhere because I'd forgotten.
I think it was one of my comments that sparked you recalling that, because I think I asked you what was the first book you ever showed on YouTube.
Yes, it was. You were the reason that is correct. You were the reason. I was live the other night on the anniversary of my YouTube channel, like an hour into my stream, and Ryan asked me a question. I was like, wait. Today's the anniversary of my channel. So,
that is so awesome.
For those at some point to celebrate.
That's the safest anniversary to forget, though.
Oh yeah, that
goes with no consequences. Yeah,
there's no consequences there. No.
Yeah, none at all. For those that aren't familiar with your channel, tell us a little bit about it.
So, mostly, I guess what I'm known for is right off the bat when I started my channel, I started doing this look back, 6-month look back. I'd look back at the hot comics from 6 months ago to see how they were doing. And it really started because I was like, I need some kind of idea for something I could do regularly. And this was right after I just gotten back into collecting, and I'd made the foolish decision to chase hot books when I first got back in. And it was like, I was like, well, this was dumb. I should have waited. And there was another YouTuber who did something similar, but on a much shorter term. Like at the end of the month, he would say, well, how are the hot book doing that was at the beginning of the month doing now? Like a month later kind of thing. And I was like, well, that's not even hardly long enough. So I do that. That comes out on Saturdays. It's the only pre-recorded thing I do. And that's the thing that gets the most views. I do a video I call Cash or Trash that looks at the books right now while they're hot, and I make predictions for my 6-month video. And then play a little D&D. I do some unboxings. I do a lot of I do my indie show because I never read indie comics until the last couple of years, so I'm way behind on everything. And so I get some friends, we hang out, we read some indie comics, we talk about them. Like 4 people show up in the chat, and I don't care, and it's a blast. So it's really about the people on the panel. And so we do a little bit of that. So I don't know. Mostly we just have a good time.
Yeah, and in addition, you are the Comic Gories. What one of the masters of ceremonies?
I'm the substitute. category maker, I guess. I don't know. I'm the substitute co-host at the moment. So
Okay.
I say that it's been going. I've been the co-host longer than Matt and John
Did the
were doing
show.
it before I joined. But someday Matt.
By the time they come back, you're gonna have seniority over them anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Well, not over
Time
John,
and
but over
service.
Matt. And someday, though, Matt will come back. He will finish his tour of duty with his shirts and stuff that he's been doing, and he will take it back, and I will gladly hand it back. But I don't know that I'll play again. It's much nicer to be on the here's your category side.
It's too. I've been on the show one time. I loved it. The only thing that was like I disliked about it is it made me realize how disorganized I am. Like I thought I was on point. I'm not on point.
No.
And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go get this issue. Like, oh yeah, I just moved that. Where'd I move it to? I think it's over here. Nope.
Oh yeah. It was funny. Like last night we had Comic Vet on, and he's like, I was like, I'm gonna go get it. We had Skull, like just for the practice round. We do a practice round at the beginning. It was Skull cover, or I don't think we did that when you were on there, Tony. But like we started doing like right at the beginning of the show, we let him do a practice round for free just to get kind of in the mode.
Mm-hmm.
It was Skull cover, and he was like, I went to my box. It was the P box, and none of the Punisher books were in it. He was like, so we had to grab something else. So,
I tuned in last night when you were. They were debating whether or not it was an old man cover.
no,
And Old Wolf's like, he's a skeleton. Like, he don't get any older than this. And someone had pulled up an old lady cover with glasses.
was a
Like,
zombie.
that doesn't even count because that's an old lady.
Yeah. And the funny thing was, so we got to the end, and we had 2 categories left, and so Tony could basically choose. There were 2 options, and he chose the old man one. And then that's what the 2 of them came up with. An old woman who was a zombie because it was a Walking Dead cover, so she wasn't alive anymore either. And then there was a skeleton with Tony's book.
Hey, I understand the skeleton. He could have been an old man. We don't know. It's old.
I guess. So,
It was from a man. Kind of works.
Yeah.
he was a little groggy.
That's right, Unruly Simeon. So Unruly Simeon and Loki are watching today as we start acknowledging the chat as well. Thank you guys for being here too. Checking in first is Copy 801, who's happy that we're back with a new season of Fanboys Live. We say hello to James Warlord. Good to see you too. We have to boo-foo. That's right. Paul S. is here. He's joining us for the first 2023 show of Fanboys Live in the Retro Review.
Nice.
It's good to see you. And we'll acknowledge more folks as they jump in during the live chat. If you're watching us on the rewind, thank you very much for doing that. That's always appreciated. I've been very fortunate in ending up with really good numbers always on the Fanboy show and the rewind. So DC Comics news. Tony, what's been going on? Oh, first, Circumstances is here. Want to say hi to you too. Thanks for stopping in.
I don't even know where to start. I guess we'll kick things off here with everybody's favorite version of the Flash. Ezra Miller has pled guilty to trespass, which means he will avoid jail time. All he has to do is pay a little bit of fine, and he's, it's whatever. So I feel like he's getting off pretty easy, if you ask me.
Very easy, I feel like, but
He's got to have like the world's greatest attorney in order to pull something like that off. Because I mean, the guy's been on a downward spiral for so long. I think he's going to put DC in quite the pickle because he's avoiding jail time. The Flash movies test screens are doing exceptionally well, much better than Warner Bros. Had ever predicted. So that's terrible, or maybe good, depending on how you look at it. And when people are asked that see these test screenings, how they feel about the Flash character, it's a home run. They said a 10 out of 10 would cast again as the Flash.
wow.
So
It surprises me a little bit because I haven't been super impressed with him as a Flash, but
he was only in Justice League for a little bit, so
Yeah.
he's getting a new director, new visuals, lots of stuff. But apparently, this is the golden egg that DC has laid upon us. I don't know why, but I think I'd have to, if it is as good as it is, I have to, tip of the hat to the director for pulling this out of the fire and molding it into what it is. And Snyder Cut was my favorite. Yeah, I agree. The Snyder Cut of Justice League made him a lot better, but
Well,
So
it
that's
did give him a little more to do. So yeah.
yeah. So that's where we're at right now with Ezra Miller. He's not going to prison or jail, and he's not been fired from DC yet. Him, Gal Gadot, and this next one is a good transition to Shazam. Zachary Levi was spotted on vacation with Peter Safran,
Oh, the other guy. Okay.
the other guy, on vacation. So maybe Shazam is safe, because technically it's not Snyderverse. Technically, because
Well, it
no
hasn't crossed
Snyder,
over with anything yet. Yeah.
yeah, no Snyder character has officially been in it. And it's starting to make sense because Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman was supposed to be in it,
Right.
and have this, not a major role, but a significant role. She's out. She's not in it at all anymore. So maybe
See, I don't know. That breaks my heart a little bit.
it does.
Because
I
that's a
completely
great team
agree.
up.
I completely agree. I'm on the fence about it. As much as I think it would be awesome to see them, maybe it's good. Maybe Shazam is. I love Shazam. I want to be selfish here. I want to see him move forward. Not that I don't like Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. I think she's fantastic as Wonder Woman. But then again, she hasn't been fired yet either. So as far as we know, she's still Wonder Woman. Only Patty Jenkins has been removed. So we'll see moving forward.
Besides also liking Gal Gadot, I like Bear Island comics. Take that, Bear Island.
Yeah, take that there, Island.
Yeah, as Ezra is in limbo. I mean, they might just be waiting for the movie to finish before cutting him loose, because they don't want to work against themselves and just say,
Right.
don't even bother going to see it. You know what I mean? He sucks. He's fired.
Well, and I feel like they'll probably try to use it as kind of the restart, but I feel like, they just need, as much as I like, and this is the thing I don't understand with the people that are so upset about the Henry Cavill thing is, as much as I'm okay with, or as much as I liked him as Superman, whether you like the Snyder movies or not, the whole universe is a cluster. Like, they've had no connectivity. It's made no sense. It's just a cluster. It's like, just reboot, have one person help oversee it. Let's get something that actually works instead of this, that we've had to this point. But that's
and I've said this before. To me, it feels like they're trying to accomplish in 5 years what the Marvel Cinematic movie spent 20 years doing.
Yeah.
And it took 20 years because it takes 20 years.
Yeah.
But hi to a few more people who have joined us, including Joey Bag of Sevens. Happy Sunday to you as well.
There's a
Tricky Trapster. Good to see you too.
There's a poll up. They have it narrowed down to 10 actors who they think is going to be the new Superman.
Okay.
But that'd be really funny if it was, option 11, none of them, and then it was this guy.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty funny. But James Gunn is giving priority. What's that?
He's one of the options?
Yeah, James Gunn is going to play Superman. That'd be funny.
That's himself.
Gray hair, blue eyes. Classic. But he announced that some characters are going to get a priority over others. And obviously that's the Holy Trinity, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. But he also said he's looking at a lot at some other characters that aren't necessarily considered a whole lot. And he said the list includes Dead Man, which would be cool.
Be fun.
Plastic Man.
That would be fun. If
that's got to be a comedy.
So, here's the only thing with Plastic Man, and I feel like this, and we'll see, because I thought they did better with Miss Marvel, but they just skipped it on the Miss Marvel. The whole making them like stretch and stuff. When they tried that with Mr. Fantastic, it did not look good.
Yeah,
no,
but that's been a while ago. I feel like that's a hard one to pull off, though.
Yeah, that is.
Adam Strange.
Okay.
Pretty cool. Nightwing is on the list. Very high. On the list. How appropriate for tonight's video. The team up of Shadow Pact. I'm excited for that one.
I don't know.
I'm excited for that one.
Okay.
That'd be fun. Ragman, Blue Devil. That'd be fun. Power Girl. Although I don't know why, but whatever. If we already have Supergirl, what do we need a Power Girl for?
Well, we haven't been in comics, so
that's true. Booster Gold, Jonah Hex,
Okay.
Swamp Thing. Oh, there you go. Perfect. He also looks.
Yeah.
Although I wouldn't consider Swamp Thing a minor character. I think he's gotten a lot of attention lately. I'd bump him up, but whatever. They want to include him. Kite Man. Kite Man.
Okay.
Okay. Kite Man. Number one,
Oh, yeah.
Justice League Dark.
Okay,
which
there's a
is-
character that you didn't list that surprises me.
Which one?
I am surprised that Ambush Bug didn't make that list.
I'm okay without Ambush Bug. I'm okay without Ambush Bug. I like him, but
But I can
sometimes
see
like,
DC's thinking that is their answer to Deadpool.
no, we don't need an answer to Deadpool. That can
We
be
don't need a
Marvel's
lot of
thing.
things. That doesn't mean they're not going to give them to us.
Their answer to Deadpool is I don't think they don't really have an answer to Deadpool.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay
Alright.
with it because they put Ambush Bug into Suicide Squad and it doesn't work. It's really dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Shadow Pact is a precursor to Justice League Dark, but they're both on the list, so maybe
I just
there's
want
something
Zatanna.
to it.
I don't really just give me Zatanna.
Zatanna, yeah. I'm curious if this is confirmed fact and this is all true. I'm curious to see who they would cast as some of these characters because I would really like to maybe fan cast some of these. But keep in mind that Keanu Reeves is confirmed to be coming back as John Constantine. Maybe they're gonna roll that in.
Maybe that's
somehow.
still gonna happen.
Last news we got was it was confirmed happening.
Which
And we haven't heard anything otherwise.
I know. And the funny thing about that is I don't even feel like that movie's a Constantine movie. I mean, he's called that, but it's nothing like Constantine. It's just like, okay.
Yeah.
We'll
see.
And I actually enjoyed that movie, but it is not Constantine. He's not playing Constantine. He's playing Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. Hey, we did that review. We reviewed that story here. Day of Vengeance. I remember because Fu was confused about it. But
So
anyway,
speaking of casting, this would be a good time for me to ask Jason, how do you feel about Brenton, who plays Nightwing on the Titan show?
So here's my main. I've never watched the Titan show.
Okay, all right.
So
Fair
I mean,
enough.
he looks like I've seen clips and stuff, and he looks the part. But I've never sat down and watched the show.
I think it's a home run
myself-
cast. I think it's a home run cast.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that he is fantastic. I
Yeah,
think that show
I
is
keep
very
saying
well
I'm
cast
going to.
overall, but
I mean,
he's fantastic.
Yeah, I keep saying I'm going to it. I've just never I'm really bad about watching TV shows generally, and when I get behind, then it's like, oh, I'll get to it someday. I'll get to it someday. I'll get to it someday. And then when I'm like four seasons behind, then it's like, oh, do I really want to start this? So, I mean, like the clips I've seen, he seems like he's doing a good job. Like he looks the part for sure. But I have not watched the show. I feel bad about that.
He is pretty brooding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like it though. It fits, especially if
Yeah.
let's look at Titans for example. I mean, like he knows when to be brooding, but he also knows when to lay back for a little bit, tell a joke, get a couple of yucks, and drive forward. He's serious when he needs to, and he's not serious when he doesn't need to be.
No.
I like it.
I do too.
Speaking of him, did you see the tweet he put out?
I did not.
He expects to appear in James Gunn universe somewhere.
I think that would be awesome.
I got no issues with it.
Yeah.
Whether it's Nightwing or not, I don't know.
One thing to mention briefly too, because even though the episode hasn't aired yet, it's already leaked out. Stephen Amell is on the finale of the Flash TV show.
Yeah, he was talking about that. That they got.
Oh, okay, very cool.
Yeah,
Very
and there's
cool.
a really cool picture too, of him on set in costume with the group
as the Green Arrow. Okay,
yeah,
Yeah.
as Green Arrow.
very cool.
So
Awesome.
yeah. Any more news, Tony? Or are we wrapping up?
That's
I'm not going to read this, but I'll just put it on the screen.
and streaming shut down. Not really. Some loose comic book news. Are you guys familiar with Christina Ricci?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She is tied to a Harley Quinn project.
That's they're doing the little like radio thing.
Yeah,
like,
that's what it is. Yeah, radio. You're right.
She's voicing her. Yes,
That's
I saw
right.
that.
That's right. I couldn't remember what it was, but you're right. And that's kind of all the notes I have here.
Okay, so let me
but-
mention one thing too before I acknowledge some more people who jumped into the chat too. If you're interested in what's going on with DC Comics news, Copy 801 does a weekly DC Comic news wrap up that drops Mondays on his channel. So make sure to sub him up too and check out those videos. And Copy is on that list that I mentioned earlier too of guests that I want on the show this year. So look for him on Fanboys Live sometime in the future. I've already said it. Now it has to happen.
Part-time field reporter for the Fanboys.
Yep.
When we go live to Electric Band-Aid.
Yep, the Electric Band-Aid. Hello to our Canadian friend, A. Travis, TM Nerdy.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Mr. Nerdy.
Yeah, we have Jeff here, Chicago Schultze.
I haven't seen Schultze for a while.
Happy New Year to you. I haven't talked to you this year, so Happy New Year to you. Scott is here, Hoarder's Hide. Good to have you here. We also have Unruly, talking about now, Commandy, wasn't he the boy who didn't wear underwear?
I think you're right.
Confused.
I think you're right.
Maybe.
Yeah. So we're segueing now into our retro review portion, and it's Nightwing themed this week because they're releasing Nightwing issue 100. Big milestone book is coming out this Tuesday/Wednesday, depending on what day your comic shop puts the books out. And I asked JP, since you're probably the biggest Nightwing fan that I know, and you had the shirt for the show tonight.
I did.
I asked you to pick us out a story. So tell us why you chose the story that you chose for us.
So not necessarily, like I debated on a few different things to do, but I just decided, it'd been a while since I read it. And so we're going to talk about the start of the 1996 first ongoing Nightwing. They'd had a Nightwing miniseries before. The first ongoing Nightwing series. We're going to talk about issues 1, 2, and 3. Because that was a story that that series is what made me a huge Nightwing fan. And it was the comic that really changed the way I collected when I was in college. It was just has a ton of personal meaning to me. And I hadn't had a chance, I hadn't sat down and read it in forever. And you were like, let's read a Nightwing story. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go back to the beginning. And I do feel like anybody that's jumping into the current Nightwing run that's getting such rave reviews from Tom Taylor, it's him back in Bludhaven, which he hasn't really been since this original run in the 90s. Like for a long time, they moved him to New York. And then for a while, like in New 52, he was like in Chicago. And like, so he hadn't been back in Bludhaven, which was kind of his Gotham for a decade. And so they've put him back there. And I don't know, it just felt like a fun place to start. And I figured, see if I could get you guys hooked. And it was an excuse to reread one of my favorite, parts of a series.
Exactly. I myself had never read this until
Neither have I.
So this was, I guess you'll find out at the end if I thought if it was a treat or not. But Tony, if you have the assist available,
sorry.
Get Jason to kick us off in a moment here on issue number 1.
Yeah.
And I will say that all of these have pretty fierce covers.
Yeah. So Scott McDaniel was the art. Chuck Dixon was the writer. Scott McDaniel was the artist on this. And Scott has very specific style. Like his style is very unique. People usually either love it or hate it. I grew to love it. So it's always fun to go back. But yes, these are 3 pretty good covers. I actually think cover of number 2 is the best cover of the whole run, which is like 150 issues. And it's my favorite is the cover of number 2. But so yeah, you guys ready here? And
yeah, take it away.
Yeah.
All right, so we kind of pick up start of the series with our hero in trouble. He is handcuffed to a refrigerator and underwater, so we get to kind of jump right into like how did he get here? But yeah, he's definitely in a bit of trouble here on this first page. You go to the next page, and he's talking about he's handcuffed to the thing. It's too tight. He's holding a briefcase, talking about how long he can last. And basically it sets up that he's like, is this what I get for leaving Gotham? So we're going to get the flashback to why he's in this situation is really this first issue. And as usual for Dick and Nightwing is that Bruce is sending him on some kind of mission. So he's what we appear to be. We find out here as they're in a morgue that 21 guys have been basically had their necks broken and that were hoods that worked for the crime lord of Bludhaven, all washed up in Gotham. So now it's Batman's taking an interest, and he sends Nightwing to go investigate Bludhaven. We get this, basically this overarching commentary as Dick is arriving in Bludhaven, talking about how it's even worse than Gotham. It's like Gotham's ugly little stepbrother who's like, he's the black sheep of the family, if that's possible. And I love this opening sequence as we go here, as he gets to the bus station, and there's this girl who like got off the bus with him, who's immediately being accosted by some thugs in Bludhaven. And he's like, go back to Gotham, it's better, which you've never really heard. Gotham is better than anything in DC Universe. It's like, wait, there's someplace worse than Gotham? It's like, does this work? He's like, I don't want to go back there. It's awful. He's like, trust me, it's better than this place.
It's like saying go back to New Jersey.
It's like, So we see him arrive in town. And at the beginning of this, he still has his nice, huge late 80s mullet going on. Late 80s, early 90s mullet at the start of this story. So luckily we get that taken care of here in a little bit. But yeah. But you just see him walking through, and you see everybody's got their heads down, and like that these are people that are beaten down. Like the people of this city are just in really bad shape, and everything's in pretty bad shape as he gets here. So he goes and he starts investigating, known mobsters to see if he can figure out what's going on and what prompted all these guys to dig in. And he goes to basically the Asian mobs to see what was going on, and he stumbles across an attack on these people, and there's gunfire, and they appear to be stealing a refrigerator, but they're screaming, the lady's screaming, stop, they have my babies. So he assumes that there's kids in this refrigerator. So he's like, well, I guess I'll be helping bad guys because there's kids involved. So we get a fun sequence here of him taking off after these guys, and I love the bottom panel there, because you get a ton of these in this series of Scott McDaniel does a tremendous job of showing off his acrobatic background and him bouncing off of rooftops and bouncing off of different objects. And you get one of these almost every issue that's usually bigger than even this one here, of just like showing off how he moves and how he's like, you never see Bruce do that. Like you never see Batman that way. It's always trying to show his background as an acrobat, and I just love that they seem to always throw that in, and basically goes in pursuit of these guys in this truck. Where are we at? So he gets a guy to like commandeers a guy to like chase after him for me, and he's riding on his roof. And now this is what happens to this poor guy is not very Batman-like, because the bad guys in this next panel, as you go down here, just shoot up this guy's truck. Dick launches from the truck onto the truck he's chasing, and that guy just wrecks in the background. It's like, oh, it's really helped that citizen.
Yeah, that guy didn't make it.
Yeah, I was thinking that guy probably didn't make it, no. And then we proceed to get a fight here, a fun fight of him taking on all these bad guys in the back of this truck. And while he tries to save this refrigerator from falling out because he thinks there's children inside of it. And it, of course, ends up with him getting a haircut. Thank God, because that hair was terrible. But and he's taken on, these are guys that are part of the Black Mask gang. So these are thugs that work for Black Mask, who appears to be trying to move in on Bludhaven. But as he goes through this and he opens the fridge, he realizes, there's no kids. There's just a briefcase in here that turns out later we find out is like fertilized eggs, but it causes him to get, trying to save this, causes him, the bad guys to get the drop on him, and they handcuff him to a fridge. And so he ends up knocking the case away, but they shove him into the drink, into the bay, attached to the fridge, and we now know where the issue started. We pick up back where we started. And of course, he has something in his utility belt that allows him to escape. And get out of there, and then we see, yes, the bad guys talking to their boss, so we get a confirmation of Black Mask is involved. But then we also see him go and try to engage we get to meet the police chief and one of the detectives of Bludhaven. We get to see the cops and see what he's going to be dealing with. He's got his Jim Gordon here, and quickly realizes he comes in to meet Chief Redhorn and deadly Soames as they go through this. That they're not really gonna like be very helpful, and that's where this first issue ends.
Awesome. Well, we get ready for my review of issue number 2. I'll say hi to Flo, who jumped in to say what's up. Hello. Good to see you. So I'm taking care of issue 2, and I knew this had to be one of your favorite covers, JP, because I saw you use this at the end of on your live streams on the outro.
Yeah,
I think
I used that the other night. Yes, for my whatever report. Yes.
Yeah. So very classic image. Good stuff. So as we kick off issue number 2, we start out with this splash where there is one of those detectives, Detective Soames. He's got a gun pointed at Nightwing. And Nightwing knows who he is. And as they start to talk, he realizes that Detective Soames is actually one of the good guys. But here on the second page right here, we get probably my favorite piece of dialogue from this issue. And Detective Soames is saying, "This'll do and no closer. I'm guessing you're good at what you do." And Dick Grayson says, "Not as good as the guy who'll come looking for me." And I love that line. I thought that plants a little bit of psychological, you're messing with me, you're also messing with Batman. And I thought that was really cool. But in the course of discussion, they realize that he's a good officer, and he knows that there's corruption even in the police department, and he wants to take care of things. So he goes to free him, and he's going to tell his boss, that Nightwing knocked him out and escaped. But he goes to free him, and Nightwing's like, "Yeah, I'm already free. I'm already out of your handcuffs." So he says, "I'm just going to tell my boss that you were able to escape from me." So Dick gives him a big old punch, a little bit stronger than he probably should have, to make the story a little bit more convincing. So in Bludhaven, he realizes he's going to be here a little bit longer than he probably thought he was going to be. So he decides he needs some residents. So he starts looking around the city, and he goes in his Dick Grayson disguise, and he finds right in the heart of where it's really bad in this neighborhood a place to stay with an apartment that's for rent. He talks to the super, who doesn't have the time to pop their head out of working on their project beneath their countertop, and is told, bring 2 months rent and the apartment is yours tomorrow. So, okay, he's got a place to live now, even though it's not the best of places. And he starts looking around the city. And I like that sign right on that page too. He says, "Beware of the forget the dog, beware of the super." So that's pretty cool. So Nightwing starts going out and exploring. We have the False Face gang here. And Nightwing, thanks to the tip that he was given by the detective, he knows that this False Face gang, who works for Black Mask, and False Face, of course, being a nod to the 1966 villain that was created for the Batman TV show, False Face. They've got this job that they're pulling, and what surprises him, it's cars, but they're old cars and used cars, and not exactly what you would expect. But they find out that Nightwing is there, and of course the battle ensues, and we got lots of action, we got lots of gunfire going on, and we're coming up to another page here that is just like what JP talked about during his review of how you see the acrobatic style. So just arrow down a little bit more for me. There you go. Look at that page.
Oh, yeah,
you see more of that acrobatic style, and I love that. And yeah, I thought that's awesome. So Nightwing is, he's taking care of them. And then we have this man that has this cooler that says Lil Igloo. And inside the cooler that he is delivering are those fertilized eggs that we saw in issue number 1. And this is being delivered, I believe, if I'm correct, that's being delivered by the detective, right?
Yeah, that's Detective Soames again.
Detective Soames. So Nightwing sees this and he's kind of like, what's going on? Is he playing both sides here? So
Well,
there's
that's
a little bit,
actually-
you're not sure if he really is truly a good guy like a Commissioner Gordon, or if he's a bad guy playing both sides, what's going on. So Nightwing continues his fight against the False Face gang. We got lots of cars crashing. He's finding they're a little bit tougher than maybe he thought. They just kind of go through several pages of action nonstop. Then we have the big mob boss who's upset that Nightwing's not dead.
That's actually the chief of police.
Oh, the chief of police. Okay.
Yeah.
He's up. Thank you for correcting me on that.
Yeah.
He's upset that you were supposed to come back and tell me that Nightwing is dead. And he's like, but he's good, he got away from me. And they call you Deadly Soames. Ha. So he continues punching, and then Soames gets a nice little black eye out of that. So we know something's going on definitely with their police. We have more of the False Face gang here that ends with a big shoot 'em up right at the end. He's shooting a guy named Reinhard, and Reinhard's trying to explain what happened, and the time for talk is up. And he reveals, this False Face gang guy reveals at the end here, the time for talking is done. And when he sees the boss, the next time I see that pajama boy, it's the same for him. So he has plans on taking him out as well. So that's how my issue number 2 wraps up. And I'll say hello to Crazy Ivan. Evening to you. Happy New Year.
Okay, number 3 coming up here. And you're going to see a pattern here in terms of artwork that I've noticed. You were right. You see like this big acrobatic scene. It's in every issue so far, including this one. So we see a Nightwing zipping around Bludhaven, still trying to figure out, what the heck. This one's not as big, but, you still see his acrobatic abilities down here. What do they call that? Parkour. I don't think it was
Parkour.
called.
Well, yeah, this is before parkour, but yes.
Yes. Now there's a name for it, parkour.
Yes.
This one kind of reminds me of the current Nightwing run, because as he's doing his little parkour stuff, he's changing at the same time, which I thought was pretty fun. So he's at his little apartment, and he's trying to. I gotta stop for a second. This part made me laugh pretty hard. So here we have Nightwing, okay, hooked up to the Wayne Enterprises global network,
Yeah.
who can do anything he wants. He's in his apartment. He's trying to hook up gas, electric, cable, phone, all that jazz. And she's like, yeah, sorry, I can't help you. You have to give us $1,000 check in order for us to even help you.
He has no credit.
He's no credit,
Yeah.
but that's fine. Then they help him out, and the lady's like, "Yeah, how about next Friday? Sometime next Friday.
Yeah, well, that's
We don't know when, but sometime next Friday. You gonna be home?" And he's just like, "Yeah." And he has a funny one-liner at the end. He's like, "It's the same story everywhere. You can't escape it," which I thought was pretty funny. So he's trying to clean up this new apartment, and he sees this lady getting purse potentially stolen, and he whips a doorknob at the guy and beams him right in the face. And she's able to take off. That part was pretty funny. We cut to GCPD, and the detective is meeting up with Nightwing and saying, "Hey, and look, there's a lot of people going for you. Heads up, you're looking for this gang, whatever." And he finds out that there's like this sketchy check cashing place, and it's in one of those like prefab buildings you can kind of put anywhere. And now it makes sense as to why. But it's like floor to ceiling. There's cash everywhere in this desk, and Nightwing goes in there, and he's like, "Are you Mr. What is he? I forget the name. Are you Mr.
Suleiman?
Thomas Ali? Thomas
Yeah,
Ali. Solomon
Thomas
Thomas
Ali,
Ali.
yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, it depends on who's asking." He's like, "Yeah, I'm asking. Oh, and by the way, your security sucks," because he beat them all. And right before these two can kind of get into it, this helicopter with this magnet comes, just picks up this building full of cash, which is pretty fun. So there's this battle going on inside the thing at the same time this helicopter is taking it across the city. So it's like going back and forth and back and forth. And to add insult to injury, these guys come out of the helicopter, air assault style, also go into the building that's being taken by a helicopter. And it's the the furry gang.
Yeah, the same guys that he's been dealing with this whole time. So far.
Yeah, it's the comic foo and his cronies for sure. So that he's got that going on. So he's fighting in a flying building against somebody else, and then somebody else comes in. A lot of fun that is. So big action comes in, and they get ready to. They're getting ready to. I don't know. I couldn't tell if they were doing this on purpose or not, but they were trying to like either drop it on top of another building or it just got clipped and somehow became unattached. But he's able to do some Nightwing stuff and get out at the last minute, of course. And he did manage to tie up the gang, the comic foo gang. And he's like, "Hey, listen, you're caught. Time to start talking." And then Batman gives him a ring, and he's like, "Hey, you good?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm good. I can handle Bludhaven." So that's the end of issue 3, and kind of establishes that Bludhaven is going to be, his domain, his territory.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, there's very much this beginning is his first foray into this town, and that becomes sort of his Gotham. So
yeah.
So JP, where does kind of this story take us, if you don't mind sharing a little bit?
So
like in the future,
basically, so I have here the original first trade that I bought literally in the 90s. I've had this thing forever.
Let me make you full screen and show that cover again so people can see that.
So this is, and this is the first 8 issues. And basically, what you get is you get through the rest of this. In issue 5, we finally get our first glimpse of what happened to the gangster that's mentioned at the beginning. The Angel Marin gang is the one that had all the dead thugs. Well, we get our first glimpse of what's happening to Angel, and that somebody has basically moved in on his territory. And we get our first glimpse of the big bad completely in shadow in like issue 5. And then in issue 6, we get the reveal. And if you've been reading the recent Nightwing run, the big bad has been Blockbuster. And this is the first introduction of Blockbuster as Nightwing's main enemy in Bludhaven. So that's the big bad that's starting this off that we're going to introduce to. The mystery with the super only goes on for also issue 5, I think, is when he finally gets to see her face for sure. But yeah, so it's just setting this up. And, as we come to find out, we find out really what's going on with Detective Soames, and we get a fuller picture as you go through this whole trade. And we get the first showdown between him and Blockbuster toward the end of this. And if you can, just to give you an idea of so you get that first showdown toward the end of this, and it just sets up that he's why he ends up staying in Bludhaven, what he's trying to accomplish there is really in this whole trade, these first 8 issues. So
awesome. I want to say hello to Aggressively Relaxing. Happy New Year to you as well. Thanks for stopping in for the first show of the new year. So based on these 3 issues, out of a 1 to 5 scale, 5 being perfect and 1 being quite the opposite, we'll start with you, Tony. What are you going to give these 3 issue run that we retro reviewed tonight?
Pretty good. I think I'm going to stick with a solid 3.5. It was a little slow, but then again, we're only establishing the story at this point. I'm going to give high points to the classic style 90s artwork. That needs to come back. And there was one, I think it was in this issue. I was reading, I might have skipped over it, and I shouldn't have, but they were talking about email, and email is just coming out.
Yeah, there's the thing about email.
He's like, I've never gotten one of those before. That part made me laugh. And the joke aged pretty well, but yeah, I enjoy it. 3.5 out of 5.
Okay, JP, what are you going to give this? Your thoughts on these 3 issues?
I'm 100% biased. Rereading this, I would agree with Tony. It is a little bit slow. it does spend a lot of time. These first 3 issues spend a lot of time just trying to give you the tone of Bludhaven, but like I feel like a lot of the stuff, particularly once you read the rest of it with the false face gang and the Black Mask, is a little bit of just to give him something to do initially as you're trying to introduce the town. So it is a little slow in getting and setting up where we're going. But I still overall, even all this time later, I still would give it like a 4.5 because I have too much nostalgia and love for it to lower it any lower than that. It does pick up steam as it goes through the rest of this trade and then beyond. But yeah, these first 3, I would say like a 4.5. So.
Okay. So as I said before we started, I had never read this until our retro review this weekend. As a matter of fact, my Nightwing solo title reading has been pretty lax, actually. I'm familiar with Nightwing and I've read them in Teen Titans for years and read them in Batman comic books or other Bat books. But reading this story, I really enjoyed it. And I understand what you say about being a little slow because there's a couple filler pages that are just taken up with action where it's just 3-4 consecutive pages of just action going around. But I really enjoyed it. And I thought it set up some good, there aren't like these big cliffhangers at the end.
Right.
But it still sets up enough to keep me intrigued and interested about what's going to happen. I'm doing 4 out of 5 on this. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. So the first time I think I ever read a solo Nightwing book was just about 2 years ago. And when I picked it up and I read it, I was shocked at what another level that book was compared to other DC titles that were coming out at that time or I had read. They have, and please correct me if I'm wrong, JP, but it seems like they've really done this character right. Are there moments where the character is it the Rick Grayson stuff?
No, that's a low point.
Okay.
So some of the stuff they've done, like there's been ebbs and flows. I would say most of the first 100 issues of this original run, it went like 152, is pretty good. It's really centered on Bludhaven. It's really he's on his own for the most part. I mean, Batman shows up. There's a great story. I think it's like 17. I don't think that's right, actually, now that I think about that. I forget which issue it is, where Tim comes to town as Robin, and basically there's a big brother, little brother issue, and it's really, really good. And so they do a really good job through, and most of that was Chuck Dixon and then Devin Grayson. Once you get past 100, there's some things that happen toward the end of that run. Is the infamous issue where he gets raped, is I think issue 93. And some of that after that, and there's this whole Renegade storyline that is not as good, that it kind of falls off toward the end of that original run. Okay. When they brought it back for New 52, that the tone was a little bit off through a lot of that. I felt like the thing I love about the current Tom Taylor stuff is, and I love about this, is he has such a more positive outlook on life than Bruce. In general. Like he's, and he has fun doing this. Like he enjoys doing this. Like at times he has fun, like bouncing around off buildings and doing all this kind of crap. And, but yeah, it was uneven for a lot of Rebirth. I mean, there was the whole thing in New 52 where he everyone thought he died and he became like a secret agent, which I've never read that storyline, so I can't talk about that. But yeah, the Rick Grayson was a low. Okay. Because they basically took him out because Tom King's story he was trying to write with Batman doesn't work if Dick is around, because at this stage he doesn't take Bruce's crap in terms of Bruce being like, I'm gonna go off and be broody and alone and not interact with anybody. And like Dick's like, no, you're not. Like he's learned over the years that so none of that works toward the end of the Tom King thing, where he's just like isolating himself and not being. It doesn't work anymore because Dick doesn't allow it. Like, and he's old enough. He's been around long enough. He's dealt with him long enough that he knows how to like call him on his BS. So they basically had him forget who he was, and the whole Rick Grayson thing was he was mean to Barbara and to Alfred and to like, because he didn't remember them, and he was just a sort of an awful person, and it was not the person. So yeah, that was dark. So the fact that they put Tom Taylor in the book, and he really has brought him back to this version for me. I mean, it's an updated version of this.
Sure.
This is a very 90s. Like it's an updated version. So yeah, I'm very happy with where the book is right now, for sure.
Yeah, it seems very solid. Everything that I've seen, they have fun covers as well. They have really good, intriguing covers. So,
I mean, there's a whole storyline for a big chunk of this. Is he actually becomes a police officer during a big chunk of this when he's in Bludhaven. Like he signs up and goes to the academy, and he gets a partner, and he's working as a police officer and as Nightwing, and he's trying to and somehow manages to get like the one good cop in town as his partner. There's a lot of fun in this for sure.
Okay, awesome.
And there's a great sequence. I think it's issue 13 and 14, which is the second half of this arc, where Bruce comes to town to help him deal with Blockbuster, and Bruce takes on the henchman while he sends him after Blockbuster. Shows that trust, and it's a really good dynamic between the two of them. Because there's a note in here in one of the pages where he talks about that Bruce didn't pick him, because this is coming off of not that long after Nightfall, and he didn't get picked. Which Bruce had his reasons, but Dick's still kind of feeling that in terms of not being good enough. And so there's a lot of really good stuff in here for sure.
Nice, very cool. I want to say hello to Jean Malo, who has joined us. Glad that you're here. So as we start to wrap up our Fanboys episode, the first one of the new year, let's start doing our book shows and talk about what's going on our channels. JP, let's start with you. Tell us what's coming up, what we can find on your channel, and then show us your special book show and tell us why you picked what you
picked. So coming up on my channel this week, we're going to be on the indie show. We're talking more Deadly Class. We got that coming up on Wednesday. So we're talking volume 4 of Deadly Class on Wednesday with Gore Vidal, Bearded Comic Bro, and Shy Comic Girl is joining me for that. I have loved the first 3 volumes of Deadly Class, so I'm looking forward to that on Wednesday. And that, other than my regular stuff, I usually do the Look Back comes out on Saturdays, Cash or Trash comes out on Sundays. I usually do a whatever report where it's just kind of, I talk about whatever. I talk about what I picked up, what I have, what I'm reading, what I'm watching. That varies. This week it'll probably be on Friday again instead of Saturday, because I'm not going to be here on Saturday, but it's usually on Saturday nights. And then D&D usually is on Sundays, as you talked about earlier. And then the book.
Yeah.
Show. So this is Nightwing issue 78. If you've heard people talk about the current Nightwing run and being really good, this is the issue where Tom Taylor, the current writer, and Bruno Redondo, the current artist, take over the book. So this is don't read 77. don't read 76. If you want to pick it up and you want to get caught up completely on this current run, this is your starting point. Nightwing 78 of this current run. And yeah, I was so angry for so long with the quality of the book. And then the last year and a half, 2 years since they took over, I've been ecstatic. It takes me back to those 90s books that we've been talking about. And so, yeah, there's Nightwing 78.
Very nice. I ended up, because I do remember that book started becoming hard to find.
It is because it's the first appearance of what we find out later is his stepsister.
Oh,
So-
yeah. I ended up getting mine out of one of those DC Comics Walmart 4-packs.
Okay, nice.
That's where I got mine. So, and that was, they have one book that's facing forward. That was the book facing forward. So I knew I was getting that. So I'm like, I am winning no matter what else is in this pack.
I guess I should say stepsister, half sister.
Half-sister.
Yeah, half sister.
I still have a whole bunch of those Walmart packs I haven't even opened yet.
Yeah.
I even have the box. I took it right from Walmart.
I remember that. So SK Tony, tell us what's going on your channel and your book show.
On the channel, complete revamp. If anyone has checked out my channel in the last couple of days, you notice we changed some of the art around. We got some new logos, working on some other stuff right now. So I don't know, some bug just kind of bit me at the end of the year. It's like, you know what? I just need to take some time and just start kind of fresh a little bit. So more of the same content, but I'm going to try to do it on a more consistent basis. So keep an eye out for some of that. Book show, I do have 2 books I want to show, and they are Nightwing related, of course. We have Nightwing Rebirth, #1, signed by Yannick Paquette.
Oh, nice.
Who did the artwork on it. And another Nightwing #1 Rebirth, also signed by Yannick Paquette. So very cool.
I will say, early Nightwing Rebirth through about issue 50 is pretty good. It's not as good as the current part, but there's some good stuff in that the early part. It's from 50 to 78. Don't worry.
50 to 78. Yeah. It's Nightwing's still a run that I've been picking up since issue 1. I have everything.
Yeah. Nice.
And even some weird variant covers, but yeah, I'm a little behind on current story, but I have all the issues up until now.
Nice.
So which is important. Because there are some hard ones to find, like you said.
Yeah. So on my channel, I am dropping another back issue of the week short tomorrow, and it's going to be a Nightwing one to tie in with this Nightwing week kind of that I've been doing here on my channel, and I'll also post something Nightwing oriented this week on my Instagram as well. But check out the back issue of the week short. I want to tell you something. I'm just going to take a quick moment here before I show my book show. I think YouTube has done me dirty this week.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. Now, I dropped a back issue of the week short. And as of right now, it says it has 2 views. 2. Now, that is not typical. Even my low ones are more than 2.
I don't remember seeing normally.
I've watched it. Did my view not
normally those
count?
come across. I don't think I saw one this week, though.
This one is on the Flash. It's on a Bronze Age Flash story that I love. And I actually think I'm not trying to brag on myself. Let me brag on the book. I think the book is fantastic. And that's why I'm like, 2 people watch this. I have a hard time believing that only 2
There's
people,
3.
Tony and one other person watched this.
1979 for
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. And
3,
I
baby.
did 3
Up
views
to
and I
3.
clicked on it.
I think YouTube is doing me dirty this week at least. So I'm just throwing that out there. I blame them and I name them on my channel.
There you go. You never
So-
it's so weird because I'll do you'll do a video like my look back video every so often it'll just get double the views it normally gets. It's just oh, they decided to push it this week.
And then the next video, nothing.
And then the next one will be 10 out of 10 in terms of views. It's 200 below what I normally get. It's just
Mhm.
come on,
So-
what's happening?
So Tony and Copy are the 2 people that watched it, and no one else watched it. I don't believe that.
I agree. I think there's something wrong with the counting.
I think they're doing me dirty. Just oh look, see, it can't be because Paul S says that he saw it too. That's 3
That's what I
people.
mean. I don't think that it only has 2 views. I've noticed that before too. When my short, they routine. I don't want to say take off. To me, they take off. Maybe not to YouTube. I'll get 1,000 views in
Oh well, that's
half-
pretty good, sure.
half an hour. I'll get 1,000 views,
Yeah.
and I'll end the day with 2,000 or 3,000 views. And then I wake up the next morning and I'm back to 400. What happened?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not going to get into me trying to cross the 700 line again. I've already crossed it on YouTube and they pushed me back, but that's a different thing. Instead, I'm going to show my book show now because that's much happier. So I think us comic book fans know. You guys, if you're not subscribed to his channel, check out some of these calls that he's posted on there. Gold. Those
I'll
are
have to
gold.
check them out. I'll have to check them out.
So Dick Grayson was Robin. Robin became Nightwing in Teen Titans. So when the title became Tales of the Teen Titans, in issue 59, they started reprinting previous stories because they had new original stories going to the direct market. This cover really showcases Nightwing in that first issue for the
Nightwing.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So I just thought that nobody else would have picked this, and I just thought it's kind of fun. It's not a book that you see a lot of people post because it's a reprint, with just an original cover, kind of. And so that's why I decided to pick this as my book show as part of the Nightwing themed. So that's my book show, and that's what's going on my channel.
Very cool.
Yeah.
It looks like someone had to describe Nightwing to someone who's never seen Nightwing before. And that's what they came up with.
This is the classic disco suit, though.
Yes.
That started it out. Now, JP, you've got to do disco suit Nightwing for cosplay sometime. I know you own Nightwing hair.
Now that you said it, you have to.
I think Ryan would look much better as disco suit Nightwing. I think that's.
I probably would wear that. To be honest with you.
I don't think I'm that creative to come up with that.
I shouldn't wear it. But
no one should wear that.
I like the V cut all the way down to like center chest.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you guys. It's a complete aside, but they have a web comic of Batman web comic. It's called it's on you can get it on Webtoon. It's a thing, but it's like Batman Wayne Family Adventures.
Okay,
it's what it's called. And there's this whole thing in there, and it's just stories. And there's Dick Grayson stories, and there's Damian and Tim and Jason, and the whole Bat family are represented depending. And they're just short little comics. And there's this one where they're having a the tournament is what it's called. It's episode 22, and basically Barbara's making them take an oath at the beginning of it that they'll abide by the rules, and it's this gaming tournament, and the punishment for the loser is they have to they're well, what's the punishment this year? And the punishment for the loser is they have to wear his disco Nightwing costume. And the best part is at the end, Jason loses, so he's in it, and Dick shows up and he's talking to Barbara, and he's like, I still don't understand why my old suit is a punishment and not a prize. And she's like, and that's why you're not allowed to compete anymore, because you're impossible to embarrass. It's just a really fun little and there's a bunch of fun interactions like that. It's just because he's just what is great? And they're like, no, it is not.
It's too funny.
Oh, that's great. Well, that brings us to the end of our first Fanboys Live in the Retro Review for the new year. Thank you to everyone who joined us in the live chat. Thank you to you if you're watching us on the rewind. It certainly is appreciated that you're making it to the end here. JP, I finally had you on my channel. I finally had you on this show. So I'm so excited. I hope you'll come back again.
Definitely. And I need to get you. We need to find something to have you on an indie show. We need to come up with one so you can be on my show and we can read and talk about some comics. And Tony, you too, man. We need to get you guys on.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. I'm always down to be on, someone else's channel and, talk about stuff. I like talking about comics because this is the only time during the week that I get to talk comics at all. So I go, Monday to Sunday. This is it. This 1 hour.
And really, the only time I have people really on my channel consistently, other than the D&D group, is for the indie show where we're reading something and we're talking about it as a group together. And so I actually I need to start some new stuff. I don't know what I'm going to start next, but I got a couple openings I need to fill. So I have to see about getting you guys on to something.
There is a great indie comic book out there. It's called Female Force Loretta Lynn.
Tell us more. Tell us more.
Oh, sure.
And it's available wherever you buy books now. And there's a matter of fact, I know for a fact, CGC is in possession of copies for grading right now.
There you go.
Really? That's cool, man. That's
cool.
Have you submitted your signature for
I
some of
have.
these? You have?
I have.
That is awesome, man. Yeah,
That was a process to go through and do, but
that's
I
so
did
cool,
it.
though. That's so
Yeah.
cool, man.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
So I can yellow label myself.
All right, but that's cool, man. That you have that that ability. That's special. That
That
really
is
is.
cool.
Yeah. Well, once again, Fanboys Live and the Retro Review is the best DC comic show on YouTube, and you made it to the end of this episode. We will catch you again next Sunday night. Thanks again, JP, and thank you, Tony. Everyone have a great week.
Peace, y'all.
Bye.